This experience happened when I was 15 years old. I, like most boys, became very bad-tempered as I entered puberty. My father and I would often argue over small things. I was confused and bored with my family, and I was afraid of the future. It was a hot summer day, and it hadn't rained for almost 2 months. On the last day of September, a light rain started to fall in the sky. I was playing at a friend's house at the time, and my friend and I walked outside the house. The cool raindrops were refreshing. As we were playing in the rain, a bolt of lightning struck me in a nearby tree. I fell to the ground and I thought I was dead. In my recollection, I didn't feel anything when the lightning struck me. When I regained consciousness, I came to another place. Here I saw my past. I saw me pushing my brother off the tricycle as a child. Movie clips kept playing. It was all about the times I hurt people. I wasn't being judged, but I could realize how I had hurt others. Next, I met the man I thought was Jesus. I didn't see him in person, but I knew he was there. In his presence, I felt indescribable love and warmth. Vision is not needed here. Understanding and love are what matters. While in his presence, I learned all there is to know about the universe. All questions were answered and they all made sense. We communicated freely, not with words, but more clearly and concisely than any way of talking. I had no doubts about the world. He told me very clearly, it was all about love. He also told me that time does not exist. Time is just a reminder of what to do and when to do it. I know this sounds crazy. I could see clearly from above what was going on down below. My body was lying on the floor and I could even zoom in to see it. I wasn't in pain, and I heard a paramedic tell my father that it had been over 10 minutes, and even if I woke up now, I would probably have severe brain damage. I remember thinking, nonsense, he doesn't even know what he's talking about, I'm better now than ever. Other than that, I don't really care what happens. My soul wasn't part of my body and didn't care about the activity going on down there. I feel like I am just a silent observer. But at this point in time, Jesus asked me to make a choice, to stay or to go back. I wanted very much to stay here. I saw my mom crying so much that I could feel her sadness. I made my choice. I went back into my body. On the way to the hospital, I mentioned the experience to my mom. She said it must have been a dream. I knew it was real. I'm 70 years old now. In those days, the term near-death experience didn't exist. People rarely talked about them. I didn't talk about it anymore. I felt that the experience would not be socially acceptable. I repressed it for many years. The experience came back into my consciousness later, when I was an internist. A colleague invited me to attend a networking meeting with her. This colleague later became my wife. The conference was about death. At the time, I thought it was boring to attend such a conference, but I agreed to go anyway. When I arrived at the conference hall, I chose a seat at the back of the room. This speaker felt familiar to me, but I didn't know where I had seen him before. He knew all my thoughts, and I had no secrets in front of him. He knew who I was and how I thought about life. Later, I searched the internet for information about this speaker, whose name I had never heard of. After that, my mind had a feeling of being liberated. After the conference, I no longer had to suppress my thoughts. A few years later, the term near-death experience was everywhere. For many years, I was very confused about God. As time went on, I realized that this confusion was due to feeling cheated. When asked if I wanted to stay or go back, I had felt like I was being driven back here and I wanted to think about it a little longer. I was also a little angry that I had to go back. In the days that followed, I realized that the choice to return was my own decision. If someone asked me, "Do you believe in God?" my answer would be yes. When trouble comes, it's hard to rely on yourself for comfort. I felt God love unconditionally and then walk with me. My confusion began to subside, and I felt His Spirit leading me. One day I found a Bible in my house. I had never really read it and I found it confusing. But that day, I opened it. Turning to a random page, the page talked about the wisdom of God. As I read, the words seemed to absorb me, as if I knew them and somehow understood them. I read for hours and felt spiritually fulfilled. Now, I feel close to God as I read the Bible and interact with other believers every day. I don't want to waste any more of my precious time. I now feel like I am growing and living my life in a healthy way every day. He is actually always around us. If we don't feel it, it's because we walk away, not Him. God is with you.